All right. Well, welcome everybody to Mastering the Art of Being and Creating Your Living Manifesto. Uh, a little bit of teeing up the call. My intention for this call is for you to hear something or discover something about yourself that is transformational. Now, in order to do that, you will need to be living the content of this course in advance, meaning I'm asking you to be a great listener. I'm asking you to be open. I'm asking you to be undistracted to the best of your ability. And I'm asking you to be present with yourself and be present with me. Okay. And if you can do that, just raise your hand and say, yep, I'm going to be the very best I can be, the highest version of myself, so I can selfishly get the most out of this call. All right. Deal. All right. So real quickly, why I'm offering this is that every once in a while I come across a book or something that has something to it. The last one was The Inside Out Revolution by Michael Neill, and I've spent about the last 8 years deep diving into the three principles and that understanding. And something else has come across my desk, and it's called The Ultimate Coach. It's a book. It's written by the gentleman's wife, Amy Hardison, about Steve Hardison, who is known as the Ultimate Coach. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind this course, Mastering the Art of Being and Creating Your Living Manifesto. A lot of the three principles teaching is really about helping people drop into a feeling. And I invite you to be in a nice feeling, as nice a feeling as you can right now, because the nicer the feeling that we're in, if we're being in a nice feeling, we're going to learn more, we're going to absorb more. So I'm going to invite you to do that. Now, we're going to be talking about something different. We're going to be talking about the state of being and state of mind. And I'm going to draw some distinctions to help orient you around the content here. So the number one reason why I'm sharing this is that this information and this understanding state of being has profoundly affected me. And my whole journey, this month is actually the anniversary of my 30th year in coaching. I've been coaching for 30 years. You know, I started back in 1994. I was walking the dog and thinking, my God, this is my anniversary, 30 years of coaching. I was considered one of the pioneers. And what I learned back then was great. It was helpful. And it's just, I've continued to develop and invest in myself. And so most of you, like me, love to learn. And so what I'm going to share with you is something that is transformational. Okay. The other reason that I'm making this available is that it's the beginning of a new year. And at the beginning of a new year, a lot of times people start to reflect how last year was, what they want this year to be. They have a certain sentiment for going into the year. And a lot of people will set goals and set intentions, or the exact opposite. They're completely disillusioned from doing that because they're so bummed out for not reaching those goals or intentions. Okay. So that's the other reason I want to share this, is that most people will set goals and intentions, and what they're doing, they're looking at in 2024, if they do this, what do I want to do and what do I want to have? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to get better at this. What do I want to have? And so their goals are about having and doing, but they're completely devoid of the most leverage, the most powerful aspect that drives everything, which is our state of being. Okay. So one of the things about the three principles, or the inside out understanding, is that previously psychology in its origin is the study of the mind. That's the nature of psychology, is the study of the mind. But psychology got disillusioned. Because the mind is not something you can put in a box. It's a spiritual essence. It's a spiritual quality. It's a spiritual energy. And psychology and the study of it, they couldn't get that and move it into a science, and so they just cut it off. They cut the head off, and so they focused on behavior and action, doing and having and behavior. Okay, and then they created a large diagnostic books of pathologies. And so they approach people as there's something wrong with them, as they're broken, as they're fixing, completely cut off from the psycho-spiritual nature. Psychology, the word psyche means mind. If you look at mind and psyche, it means our spiritual nature. Okay? So I use that as a metaphor because in the world of performance and business in life, we're trying to create things. We're trying to create a wonderful marriage. We're trying to create financial abundance. We're trying to create wonderful organizations that are led and we're impacting well. We want results. We want to do better. But the thing is, people are completely cut off from being. It's where all the leverage is. It's like cutting the head off the snake. So that's what this is about. It's about bringing that to the forefront. Okay? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oops, let's see here. That's not what I want to share. Might end up with some technical challenges here. Bear with me. There it is. All right. Okay. Is my screen share working? Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, cool. All right. So mastering the art of being. I want to go to this first slide here. And I want to draw some distinctions between state of being and state of mind. Okay. So while interconnected, a state of being and state of mind refer to different aspects of an individual's experience. State of being, this refers to the fundamental essence or condition of existence. It encompasses who you are at your core, including your character, value, and intrinsic nature. For instance, being compassionate, confident, or present can be considered states of being. It often reflects enduring qualities that define you irrespective of temporary emotional or mental fluctuations. State of mind. This refers to the fluctuating mental and emotional condition individuals experience due to the interplay of three principles, universal principles. It's the ever-changing landscape of thoughts and emotions that shape our moment-to-moment experience. Our experience of life is created through our thinking, and that the quality and quantity of our thinking determines our state of mind. Our state of mind isn't determined by external circumstances, but by our moment-to-moment thinking. A clear understanding of the three principles enables individuals to realize the transient nature of their thoughts and emotions, leading to a deeper understanding that the ebb and flow of their state of mind are part of the human experience and not indicative of a fixed reality. This perspective encourages individuals to see through transient fluctuations in thoughts and emotions, understanding that a deeper level of peace and clarity exists beyond the changing states of mind. In essence, a state of being speaks to the inherent and enduring aspects of who you're being in the world, while a state of mind refers to the fluctuating mental and emotional conditions experienced in the present moment. So this webinar today is about creating your living manifesto, okay? Your living manifesto. So what is that? Your living manifesto is based on your highest expression of yourself. A living document, your declaration for who you say you are, a position to come from. It is a created state of being. So your manifesto is a created state of being. It's something that you declare. Okay, it's not even created yet. So what happens is we're already in a state of being. And a lot of the state of being that we're in is the way we wound up being. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Like the inside out understanding, there's three principles: the principle of universal mind, the principle of universal consciousness, and the principle of universal thought. In state of mind, or excuse me, in state of being, there's also three principles. And the three principles of state of being are: we're always being. You're being right now. You're either being a good listener, you're being, this is bullshit, you're being, I don't have time for this, you're being somewhere else, maybe. You're not being present, you're being distracted. So we're always being, okay? And like fish in water, human beings can become conscious of the fact that they're being. So the second principle is we can observe our being. We have the ability to become conscious of our being. And the third principle of being is we can shift our being. We're not a prisoner of our being. We can actually shift our being. The deeper we understand this, like the deeper we understand the three principles of the inside out understanding, the more power we have in our lives, and we take the wheel and get into the driver's seat. You already have a manifesto. You already have a document. You already have a document. You have a philosophy. You have a manifesto in which you live by. I have one too. And what I started to wake up to is that I really wasn't the author of my manifesto. It was written for me by someone else that I have now been carrying around. Okay. And my document, like all of our documents, when we really start to reflect and we look at, we're living out a document. We're living out assumptions and beliefs and philosophies that we declare as true. We declare it as so. It's unquestioned. It's not poked at. We just go about living a way of being that, in all truth, wasn't even written by me. Okay, so we already have a document. And what we're wanting to do is we want to become masters of the art of being and creating a living manifesto that's authored by us. And so that's what this is really about. We all have a story, my story, your story. We all have a history. It's his story. It's history. It's gone. It's in the past. In order to make room for your manifesto, in order to make room for the new you, to make room to create a future, you might need to let go of something. You might need to let go of the stories that no longer serve you. You might need to let go of the history that no longer serves you. So today is just an introduction. It's just an introduction. By the way, I'm not selling anything. There's nothing to enroll in. There's nothing. It's just the more I share this, the more it deepens for me. The more I share this with people, I can have a positive effect. I can live my highest expression of myself, which is to serve and to be loving and to be of help to humanity. Okay. So one of the things you want to do is you want to start to explore your highest version of yourself. And the highest version of ourselves is typically loving, compassionate, understanding, enlightened, conscious, kind, whatever it is, okay? Whatever it is you declare. Our lowest expression of ourself is kind of like living out somebody else's document that I've now owned, which, I'm depressed, or I'm sad, or I'm anxious, or I'm jealous, or I'm envious, or I can't, or I'm doubting. Those are low self-expressions of ourselves. We all have them. I have them. I have low expressions of myself, highest expressions of myself. But when we start to create our own living document, our living document is our declaration for the highest expression. We're saying, this is who I am and this is what I'm about. that becomes our North Star, because our low expressions will come and test us, and then we get to choose. So being a master at the art of being, you get to see that we are conscious beings with free will and the freedom to choose, and choosing a higher expression of ourselves rather than defaulting and living our lower expressions. So I want you to know that you can consciously access your highest expression of yourself with intention and the power of declaration. You're a human being with the freedom and the power to choose. You can create a future that's not here yet with the technology of declaring and creating your own living manifesto. So creating an ideal space here for transformation, I invite you to just keep an open mind. I invite you not to judge yourself, me, or others. If you do, I invite you to forgive yourself and others. I invite you to be loving, kind, and supportive to yourself and everyone you interact with in your life. That is, in my estimation, living the highest version of myself. One of the things when I started to wake up to thought and see that I'm always in thought, and thought really had the best of me, I started to see that I had a lot of thoughts that weren't helpful or weren't useful. Okay, they weren't wrong. Okay, and we don't have wrong thoughts. This is the thing. If there's one thing that you leave here with, this was really profound when I saw this. That there are no wrong thoughts. There are no wrong feelings. However, we all have thoughts that aren't wrong, yet they aren't serving us, and they're not useful in terms of creating who we are, what we want, or what we want to do, and what we want to have, and who we want to be. So we all have thoughts. They're not wrong, but they're not serving us. So this journey of becoming a master at the art of being is to slow down and start to reflect. Is that thought, it's not wrong, but is it serving me? That feeling, it's not wrong, but is it serving me? And if it's not, then I get to choose. I get to choose the highest expression of myself, or just getting dragged along the rocks of my lower self-expression. It's a choice. So one of the things that we use to create a living manifesto is a declaration. So I want to draw a distinction between a declaration versus an affirmation. It's really, really important that you are able to distinguish a declaration from an affirmation. A declaration and affirmation are both powerful statements, but they differ in their focus and intention. A declaration is a strong and definitive statement, often used to assert a belief or state an intention. It can be a proclamation of truth or a commitment to a certain course of action or way of being in the world. For example, I declare I'm committed to living authentically and fearlessly. Another way of saying that is, I am my commitment to living authentically and fearlessly. That's a declaration. So what is meant by declaration of being? A declaration of being is a profound statement that asserts one's state of existence, identity, or intention. It's a powerful affirmation of who you are at your core, or who you aim to be in life. Okay? This declaration often goes beyond mere affirmations by encapsulating a fundamental aspect of your essence or purpose. By the way, I was talking to someone the other day, and I've been coaching for 30 years. So many people that have reached out to me over the years, they feel lost. They hear about, if I had a purpose, then I'd be more happy and fulfilled and all that. And so they start looking for their purpose. They're looking for their purpose everywhere. Well, probably 1 out of 100 people actually know their purpose or find their purpose. A lot of people suffer because they don't know their purpose, and they're looking for it, and they waste years and years and years trying to figure out what their purpose is. Declarations goes beyond this. It helps a person declare their purpose, not wait for it. Okay, so for instance, a declaration of being might be, I'm a beacon of compassion and understanding. See, a declaration in business is I declare the fact that I'm a leader. I am being a leader. I'm not waiting for somebody to tell me. I'm not waiting for a promotion. I'm declaring I'm a leader without a role, without a title, without somebody telling me, go run with it. It's a declaration. Okay. It's a statement that reflects a deep understanding of oneself and can serve you as a guiding principle in how one lives and engages with others and the world around them. I think this slide got slipped in. This was supposed to be before to help you with that distinction. The distinction, declaration versus affirmation. An affirmation is a positive statement aimed at reinforcing a desired belief or outcome. It is used to reshape thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. For instance, I am confident and able to overcome challenges. So I am confident as an affirmation doesn't have as much punch to it. It's more like trying to convince myself. Declaration is throwing my hat in the ring. It's getting on the field and saying, I am that. Okay. While both declarations and affirmations aim to reinforce positive thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, declarations tend to carry a sense of firm intent or commitment, while affirmations focus on cultivating positive thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs. So when I think of affirmations, it's people trying to get themselves pumped up. A declaration is declaring, and out of a declaration, action follows suit. Often affirmations are just kind of like a whitewash and very limited in terms of the action or being a cause of making any changes. Okay. So the reason that we share these distinctions is because language is powerful. There's power, the power of language. If you can change your idea about who you are or who you wound up being, if you change your ideas about your past, you're not your past. If you change your ideas about the future, we have ideas about the future. Some of those ideas aren't very helpful or very useful. Okay. That's why some people can't get out of bed in the morning. And if you change your language you use to describe your experience, you will change your reality. We learned this from the three principles, the inside out understanding. If our thoughts come through the system, and they're creating, they all have a feeling being brought to life by consciousness. The world looks that way to me in that moment. Okay. The state of being is to consciously change language about yourself. It's a conscious act. It's a willful act to change your reality. And then we want to create a written document with these intentions. So a living manifesto is to use the power of language and put it in writing. So a couple of powerful distinctions here that are very, very helpful. I am. So as a coach, one of the things that I'm trained to listen for is listens for people's their I ams or their misunderstandings or their unhelpful thinking. I was working with a client the other day and I asked him to do this. I said, I want you to do this and you can all do this. You can all go along with this. Do this exercise yourself and say, I am sad. Okay. Silently to yourself, or no, you're all muted anyways. Just say, I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. Okay. And then what I want you to do is I want you to say, I'm being sad. I'm being sad. I'm being sad. And I want you to notice the difference. I want you to notice the difference. See, I am shy or I am sad is part of the document that people are living out. Okay, it's something that's come from outside of them that they've now kind of identified with. I'm sad. I'm angry. I'm this way. I'm that way. And people their I ams are creating prisons for themselves. They become fixed ideas of who they are. But I am being sad or I am being shy helps a person see that they have choice in the matter and they could be something else. Because remember, the three principles of state of being is that we're always already being. And We can become conscious of the way we're being, and we can shift the way we're being. That's the beauty of this. Okay? The distinction, way of being and nature of being. The way we're being is often habitual. It's the way we wound up being. People say, well, that's just the way I am. No, that's just your way of being. And then our nature of being is deeper. It's kind of like that in the inside out understanding that there's a deeper feeling underneath thought, okay, underneath our personal thought. Well, way of being is just kind of the way I'm being. The nature of being lies below that. That's our pure creative potential, okay, the nature of being. So it's nothing set in stone. We can become the authors and the creators of our life the more we understand the nature of being, and we can get off of our way of being. All right. Way of being lines up with the next distinction, which is a defaulted future. So the way I am is I'm shy, or the way I am is I'm ADD or ADHD. That's the way I am. No, that's your default future. So when people create goals and intentions from that default future, they just get a little bit more, a little bit better, the same old shit. All right. But when I understand the right side of this, I am being a leader. I am being a nurturing father. I am being successful. I am being loving. I'm creating a future. I'm now engaged in creating. I'm creating a living manifesto. I'm creating a future that's not here yet. So one of the caveats here of creating a living manifesto is a person must start to identify unuseful thinking or unhelpful thinking. So as you sit here and you look at your business, your money, your life, there's a way of being that you're being a certain way with money. You're being a certain way with your work. You're being a certain way in relationship. You're already being something in that, okay? The way you're being, okay? And what you want to do is you want to start to explore, well, how am I being here? And what's the unuseful thinking I got going on here? Okay. So the work behind creating your manifesto begins with you writing down your deepest fears, your biggest insecurities, your self-doubts, your negative thoughts, all that good stuff. Okay. You want to get it out in front of you. All right. Now, see, if I shared my living manifesto with you, you go, oh God, that's really good. That works for me. And you take my living manifesto. But you don't realize that the work I did to do mine came out of me looking at my deepest fears, my biggest insecurities, my self-doubts, and my negative thinking. And I got them all down in front of me. And I turned those around as new possibilities for myself, as I ams, as I statements. And that's how you create your living manifesto. But you got to do the work. You got to look at what's not useful, what's unuseful thinking I got going on. So in mastering the art of being, we may have to give something up to receive something. What we have to give up is unuseful thinking. Once we get to unuseful thinking, like I said, we craft empowering I statements or I am statements. We change the pattern of our thoughts from negative to positive. Once you've completed your list of unuseful thoughts, you'll turn them around either on your own, or you can reach out to me and I'll help you. And from your list of unuseful thoughts, you can create new ideas about yourself and write them down. You know, my work, you know, is I had some unhelpful thinking. You know, I saw over and over again that I had this thought, you know, that I'm not enough. I'm not good enough, or I have thoughts that I don't fit in, or I have thoughts that people don't like me, or I have thoughts people think I'm crazy. All right. Those are unuseful thoughts, particularly if I want to be a leader and I want to be of service and I want to help people. Those are unuseful thoughts. But I had to go there to turn them around to I am that creates miracles in people's lives. I am that has a powerful impact in people's lives. I had to start there to go to move there. But I also had to do some other work. We have to clean the slate. If we just go from the negative to the positive and not do the work on the inside, I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for judging myself as not enough. That's an unuseful thought. Greg, please forgive me for judging yourself as not being enough. Greg, I forgive me for judging myself as not being attractive, or forgive me for judging myself as being single, or forgive me for judging myself as not being more successful. For the truth is, I'm more than enough. That's the new thought. I'm more than enough. That's just an example. So there's work. There's work to be done here. If you're going to create a painting, if you're going to create a masterpiece, a living manifesto, and you have a canvas and there's stuff all over it, you're not starting with a clean slate. So forgiveness work helps us clean the slate. How we get to that forgiveness work, we ask ourselves, well, who am I being in relationship to my wife? Who am I being in relationship to my clients? Who am I being in relationship to that? And I guarantee you have some unhelpful thinking around that. Judging your partner, judging your clients, judging the world, judging the political system. That's not helpful for creating your own living manifesto and living your highest version of yourself, your highest expression of yourself. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about reverse engineering results. So where do results come from? Here we are at the beginning of the year, 2024. What are the results you want? What do you want to create for yourself? Okay. What do you want to create? How do we create results? Through actions, through our actions. Actions is the driver to results. Well, where do actions come from? Well, our actions are going to be limited or enhanced with the quality and quantity of thought on the system and the language that we use about ourselves, others, and the world. Okay? You can't get better results if you don't have better thinking. If you want to be better, if you want to be different, you got to be better. You got to be different. Okay? And the leverage is in being, the position in which I come from. Am I being salesy or am I being of service? Okay? Each one will create a different future, a different outcome. How far out in the future do you think about your career, your money, your relationship, and your business? Some people don't think very far out at all. Okay? The further you think out, the more helpful it is. You give yourself more runway. Who am I being in relationship with money? I'll share a huge idea I came up with. I realized everybody has a thought about how long they're going to live, how long they're going to live. And I started to think about that. And I think I was selling myself short. And I heard about this guy named Dan Sullivan. He's a famous coach. He's been around for 30 plus years as well. He has a whole organization called the Strategic Coach. And he has this idea that he's been sharing for the longest time that he's going to live to 156 years old. And when I heard that, I go, wow, I don't think that far out about myself in relationship to that. And once I heard that, what came to me is, well, my grandfather lived to 97 and, on my dad's side. My grandmother lived to 96 on my mom's side. I took 10% of that and I said, and I declared that I'm going to live to 108. Now, the fact that I'm living to 108 changes who I am around money, who I am around health. The actions start to change with that runway. Fascinating. So the context of having a bigger future is transformative. So one of the ways to also help assess, and a living manifesto is a living manifesto. Once you start to get on this path, you're on it for the rest of your life. So what you want to do is you want to start looking at what is your pattern when things don't go your way? What are your patterns when things don't go your way in business, when things don't go your way financially, when things don't go your way in relationships, when things don't go your way with your health? What is your pattern of thinking, of way of being? Do you go to victim or do you go to opportunity or victorious? Okay? Your document can guide you in your decisions and your actions when you're in stressful situations. We're all going to do that. We're all going to have things that don't go our way. Now, am I going to drop down and live in my lowest expression of myself? Well, if I don't have a manifesto and I haven't declared my highest expression of myself, how else am I going to do that? So your document is your North Star. It guides your decisions and your actions when you're in stressful situations. Your manifesto is a living document. Focus on completion. Start today. Don't worry about perfection. It's an ongoing process, but start and complete your form of your living document, whatever you want to call it, your manifesto. I call it my living manifesto. There's no right way to create a document. Some people do vision boards. Some use, I like using the power of language, but figure out what works for you. Create one and then keep working on it for the rest of your life. You'll tweak it, you'll tune it. I'm constantly adding to it. I'm coming up with new declarations. I'm crossing out old ones. I'm always evolving. Creating the future. What do you want? What do I want to create in the future? What do I want to create in the future? Who am I being now in relationship to that future? Explore unuseful thoughts. Who do I need to be in order to create what I want in the future? Explore empowering thoughts to replace the unuseful thoughts. Write it down. This is the beginning of your living document. So this slide here, I just wrote, you're either on a default future or a created future. The default future is just the way you've been being. It's your habitual thoughts. If you want to be different, you got to be different. Okay? If you want to be different, you got to be different. And how we do that is these little hash lines are declarations. They get us off the defaulted future. We start to create a future that's not here yet. So in review, number one, understand the three principles of being, which are you're already always being, like a fish in water. But you can realize that with the second principle. You can become conscious of the fact that you're being. And the more conscious you are, the more freedom you have, because you can choose to be different. You can choose to shift. Commit to being the highest expression of yourself. Create your future through the power of declaration. These are I statements or I am statements. Enjoy the lifelong journey of mastering your state of being. The promise of this, if you embark on this journey with the intention of expanding your state of being, you will do exactly that. Who you are being is everything, okay? It's everything. It's overlooked. It's hidden for most people, okay? People are just trying to do better. They're trying to do more. But being is the driver for all of that. Mastering your state of mind starts with, who am I being now? What do I want to create in the future? These you have for many of you that I've introduced that idea to in the past. Who do I need to be in order to create what I want in the future? Who do I need to be a more loving person? Who would I need to be a more effective parent? Who would I need to be to create a level of confidence that's remarkable? Who would I need to be at peace with who I am? Who would I need to be fully in love with myself and my life? And who would I need to be to live the most extraordinary life I can? Remember, who you're being is everything. So for those of you that are interested in going deeper with this, you can create the possibility of transformation for the price of a 20 book called The Ultimate Coach by Amy Hardison, which is the inspiration for this. The book's available on paperback, Kindle, and Audible. Buy the book. Before you buy the book's written about a guy named Steve Hardison. He asks you to do two things. Read the back cover, which are a lot of the prompts I just shared right before here, and the first 2 pages, and read the book about you. And hopefully you are listening to this presentation about you, not somebody else. You're listening to it about you. Once you've gotten value for yourself, share and invite others to become masters of being. That's what I'm doing. I got something here. I'm sharing it with you guys here today. Chapter 29 specifically covers the idea of the living document. So that will support you in taking this a little bit deeper, or feel free to reach out to me for help in creating your document. I'll share a little bit of mine with you, just as in. This is my part of mine. I am being unstoppable. I am being an unstoppable state of mind. I am being a force to be reckoned with. I am being that which positively influences others. I am being the creator of miracles. I am a master in the art of living. I am living in alignment with my deepest truth. There's more. I read that every day. I record it on my phone. I listen to it multiple times a day. I cannot tell you how empowering it is. It is like the strongest coffee you've ever drank, okay, without the jitters. It causes you to be in action. You'll be buzzing like there's no tomorrow. So I'm going to shift off the stop screen sharing here. And I'm going to open up the group here for comments, anything that you'd like to share here. If anybody would like to share, just raise your hand or just turn off the mute and jump on in. I'd love to hear insight.
Hi, Greg. It's Brian here.
Hi, Brian.
Nice to see your face, Scotty, and yours, Greg.
Thank you.
I think the last time the three of us were together was at someone's wedding.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Thanks for this morning. I've got to go to another meeting in 5 minutes' time, so I'm going to have to check out, but really appreciate it. I hope you don't mind. I took some photos of some of the screenshots.
I don't mind at all.
And wrote down a whole lot of stuff, so really appreciate it. And Scotty, thanks for inviting me to this morning, and Greg, really appreciate it. Got a lot out of that. Plenty to work through over the next.
What's one thing you got, Brian? What's one thing you're leaving with?
I reckon you can create a future that is not here yet.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah, I wrote that down. You can create a future that's not here yet. Mm-hmm. And for someone like me, I turned 70 this year, but I keep telling people that that's a young age if I'm going to live to 100. So I've got 30 years of great activity coming.
Nice. I love how you added some runway there.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for being here, Brian. It's great to see you, like always.
Thank you. Appreciate it. See you, Scotty. Right. See you, Quint.
Who else would like to share something they got? Maybe they saw an unuseful thought, or they had an insight. Remember, this was about you. So who would like to share? Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. That was awesome. A lot of new information. What really struck me as new was the idea of how long I'm going to live. I kind of have this idea in my head that I'm going to live to I was thinking about it, I was like probably like 85, but I mean the idea of that being longer really does shift everything, and kind of is like, well, who do I want to be for the next 50 or 60 or 70 years, like whatever that drags out. That was a kind of a shift in perspective, so I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, great. You know, when I saw that, it changed my relationship with investing. When I had more runway, I said, well, I'm going to live to 108. Well, who do I need to be now? See, I had such a short runway, and I got, you know, I had some situations in life. I had to kind of start over a few times, and I started to look at my age and where I am. I'm going, I started to feel anxious with the runway I was giving myself. And the more runway, I said, well, shit, you know, 20, 30 years from now, just keep doing that, what you're doing now. And it's like, I just had this really renewed feeling, and very hopeful. You know? So it was really cool. And then also with my health, it's like, oh, if I'm going to live that long, who do I need to be now? I better get my ass to make sure I'm doing my mobility and my stretching and all that, because I'm seeing myself not as a 108 laying in the bed, but somebody who's active and all that. So who do I need to be now in order to create that future?
Totally. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who else? Got time for a few more.
Greg, can you hear me?
Yeah, Sam. Hi.
How you doing? Um, yeah, I think for me, as you were talking, I started thinking about, verbalizing in my head even a little bit of the manifesto and kind of different things that I think, and then I was really like kind of reflecting on just patterns, right? And thinking to myself, like, was I aligned with that manifesto and that way of being? And I think it's it hearing you talk, it was pretty easy for me to connect it to things that were happening in my life that I'm seeing on a daily basis, or even more of just like a long-term pattern, right? And so I just thought it was very useful information to reframe kind of how I view that, and look for some of those patterns where it isn't aligning maybe with who I really want to be and who I'm going to be, right? So
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Outside of my living manifesto, I kind of review what we're talking about here today. And what I do is I remind myself of the principles. I said, I'm being. I get out of bed in the morning. I say, well, who am I being right now? And even when I went so the other day I was walking the dog and I'm like, I'm tired. And I just remembered about the lesson I got about I'm tired versus I'm being tired. It was a remarkable shift for me. Like, I'm tired, like that's a reality, like that's fixed. And I just played with it. I said, well, I'm being tired. I'm being tired. And it was the weirdest thing. It's just like I got off tired and I ended up going to jujitsu class. It was really fascinating. So I check in with myself and who am I being right now in this moment? Who am I being? And then I can become conscious of that. And I say, am I being the highest expression of myself in this moment? No. Okay. Then I get to choose. It's just choice. We're conscious beings with the freedom to choice. And this is just a reminder of that. We can choose. Thank you, Sam. Anybody else? We've got time for maybe one more, two more. Yeah, Scott.
I really appreciate everything you said, and the shift of goals from just the what do I want to have and do, or what is that thing, to who would I be?
Who would I need to be? Who would I need to be to create that?
Yeah, and that can go both ways. You can go all the way, who would I be if I already had that? And then, work it back to, okay, who would I be today on the journey to that? And that just made it so much more tangible, hopeful, and like personal than just a goal on a piece of paper.
Right. Great. Thanks, Scott. What occurred to me when you were sharing, we've all, probably most of us have heard the saying, it's the journey, not the destination, but we still have a destination in mind, the goals, what we want to have or create. In fact, it's important to have something that we're trying to create. Okay. But it's not the getting of that thing. It's the who I would need to be in order to do that, in order to accomplish that. That's where the juice is. The journey is in being. Who else? Anybody? Tim?
Yeah, for me, I think it's, we've talked about a lot of this, and I have a similar concept that I've learned about called like rules, right? Things that I just innately do because there's no answer to it. It's just what I've done. And it's empowering when you like go through and like conquer some of the easier ones. But, this kind of reminds me that there's so many others that are still on the table. And it's just a matter of, for me, it's always like I don't take the time to like sit and like go through all of this and like be more intentional about the way I want to be, and not only in like small areas, but just having that a more extensive list. Because like for me, it's empowering when I do, and it kind of builds on itself. But I think I kind of stop because I know I know those are the easy ones, and I'll kind of stop with the easy ones. But like, what's that next level that I can take it to from a standpoint of making that shift of like how I want to be, or maybe things that I think or my dialogue about myself where I haven't gone to that next level of trying to make that shift at that with that part of my, my being, if you will. So anyway, it just, I get more than anything kind of a reminder to stop and actually be a little bit more intentional about it. It's easy to like fall into it and like do something really well that maybe you were struggling with, and then you kind of revert back. So how do you kind of keep climbing forward? This is a good reminder for me.
Thank you. What occurs to me is that people let their lower self-expression get the best of them, and they don't see how powerful they are. That was true for me. We don't see that we're these powerful, incredible beings that can create miracles, and we're playing small. If everybody here could just see how powerful you are, how incredible you are, how much potential that you have that hasn't even been expressed yet. To me, that's remarkable. All right. We have time for one more. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you all so much for being with me here today, taking your lunch to be with me. I hope you found this valuable. It is recorded. If you would like the recording, just shoot me an email and I'll make sure you get a hold of it. And if you want to share it with someone else, I'm okay with that as well. And may you be your very, very best in 2024. Okay. Thank you, guys.